Hey, how's everything going? I got back a couple hours ago. I just got done with a workout, so I wanted to fill everyone in. Been gone about close to 1 week. Went on a mini vacation to Southern California. I'm from Northern California, and the main reason me and my wife went was because we attended a wedding in Huntington Beach. It was my wife's good friend in college, and it was a beautiful setting. The ceremony was outdoors. Sorry, I'm kind of getting over a cold, which I'll get into. The anyway, the ceremony was outdoors. Beautiful weather. Late May, sometimes it can get really hot, but the weather cooperated extremely well. Very sunny, not too hot. And then we did the cocktail hour for an hour. I had a bunch of drinks. Had a great time there. And then we had the ceremony. And then after that, I visited my sister who lives in Southern California as well, and we hung out there. And it was overall a good time. That's the good part. I was able to also visit my two nephews for my sister. I'll try to post some pictures when I can. They are doing Little League baseball, and that was very interesting and entertaining to see these little munchkins hit the ball in the field, and it was just an awesome time. It looks like the parents were more intense than the actual kids. It was a championship game, and my nephew's team, who they were playing, they were the Dodgers. They lost, but they took second place overall. So that was the championship game, and I happened to be in town and watch that and be supportive. So that was a good time. What else happened? Oh, the bad part was the traffic. I mean, I know the traffic in LA is bad, and I complain about the traffic sometimes in the Bay Area, but Los Angeles area is a whole another level, and I knew that going in, but when you actually experience it, it can be frustrating when it takes 45 minutes to drive 7 to 10 miles. It's a problem when you're on that 405. And but I had a car rental and we're on vacation, so I was spending a lot of time on the roads. But I don't think that's a place that I would like to live, because I would probably get frustrated, being that there's so many great things to do in Southern California. But unless you're on vacation, when do you have time? If you want to just go to, run an errand that's like 5 minutes away, it may take 25 minutes. So my sister, who lives outside of Los Angeles, during the week, they're so busy, they don't go outside of their small radius, which I don't blame them. But speaking of driving, me and my wife went to the Museum of Death. Yes, look it up on Yelp, the Museum of Death. And we tend to watch a lot of murder mysteries. Dateline NBC, the ID channel, Investigative Discovery. It's the other side of me that you don't know. And I guess I probably got her into it, but I'm pretty fascinated with the psychology and just the history of some serial killers. And this Museum of Death, though, just I highly do not recommend it for children. I don't even know if they enforce it, but do not bring your children. And if you're squeamish about seeing real dead, actual murders that were photographed, they show it, and they have like videos of autopsies, and it starts off a little bit more mild because they don't want to scare you away, and as you get deeper into the museum, you see more stuff. So there was a whole little montage or a little corner area for Charles Manson. There was some on Jeffrey Dahmer. There were actual letters from Jeffrey Dahmer while he was in prison, as well as some other serial killers. They didn't have too much on Ted Bundy, which I was a little bit surprised. I'm not sure if that's just because maybe they just couldn't get the not the footage, but they couldn't buy the material, or maybe he didn't write a lot. I'm not sure what the situation with that is. Nonetheless, if you're into that type of stuff, John Wayne Gacy, the clown killer, Son of Sam in New York, there's articles on that in the museum. Definitely check that out. Also, the bad. well, actually, that was the good. The bad was the traffic, but also, yeah, I caught a cold from my wife. My wife's been battling a cold because her coworkers were sick, got her sick, and then going into the vacation, I caught a little bit, and my throat's a little messed up a little bit, and my nose is a little bit runny, so I've been taking some medicine. But I worked out at home when I got back, and speaking of working out when you're sick, if you're not like if you don't have the chills and you're not sneezing all over the place, which I'm not, I don't recommend you doing that in a public facility. I work out at home predominantly, so and I wipe everything down with a wipe, Clorox wipe. So you want to just be clean with that. You don't want to be spreading your droplets at 24 hour or wherever other gym you go. So I was battling that. Oh, and the last thing, the most frustrating thing was we did an Airbnb, and I'm sure you've heard of that company. It's just basically people that they provide their own home instead of a hotel that you can go to. You can go to Airbnb, and I've used Airbnbs in Miami and a bunch of other places. We use it overseas in Japan as well, and it kind of depends. We usually, well, my wife usually does all the research, but we usually will figure out based on the prices and if you include parking, because hotels, you have to remember, they usually charge for parking. So even if a hotel rate seems a little bit cheaper than an Airbnb, you need to account for parking. So after doing all the calculations, it was kind of a coin flip, and we had no problems with Airbnbs. And it gives you more of a homey feel. And often Airbnbs, the people have Netflix and other stuff. It makes you feel at home. There's a microwave, there's a stove. It's basically a house. It's like being a house guest without them there at a condo. And I've stayed in some nice places in Arizona. Anyways, to make a long story short, we charged for three. We wanted to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so 3 nights for pay the Airbnb person for 3 nights. Monday, not a problem. Tuesday, the majority of the day was fine, and then on Tuesday night we went to an anniversary dinner, our 5-year anniversary dinner at a great place, Lowry's Prime Rib or whatever. It's a delicious place. So Tuesday night was good, and then upon coming back to our place, we noticed our parking spot was taken. So like, what the heck? So my wife texts the Airbnb host. She is responsive at the very least, and she says, "Oh, can you park in the spot next to it?" She basically gave up our parking spot because why would she do that? Well, because she had another Airbnb person who had a bigger car, and they couldn't get into their spot, which was to our left, because there was a car behind that was kind of double parked in a way. So it created this domino effect. So in essence, what the host should have done was enforce and tow or call whoever and get that car that's behind our cars towed. It was blocking. Nonetheless, she decided to take it upon herself to tell that person to park in our spot. So she tells us, just park over to the one to the right. I'm like, I'll give it a try. Unfortunately, it's hard to explain, but there's a brick wall behind, a car double parked, and then we were supposed to get a small car. Like, if you ever get a car rental, get the smallest car as possible. For some reason, they gave us a mid-size. We said whatever, and I try to angle it in because you got to go out to in, and I couldn't get it. I tried the other side, I couldn't get it. So we texted her again and said, we can't get in the car. So she tried to contact the people that were in our spot, no response. She had us go up to the door of the house, no response. So we're sitting here in the nighttime for a long time. So eventually I was like, I'm tired of this. Like, she told us her solution was for us to double park behind the cars illegally. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get towed myself. She gave up our spot for nothing. It's just totally irresponsible. And then she goes and denies it because we call Airbnb, and I'm just like, forget it. We don't want to stay. We're stuck. We were on the phone for 45 minutes with Airbnb. They were okay. So eventually they were able to refund us Wednesday completely, which is fine, but they didn't even prorate all of us. So I think we got back, I think the total would have been 600 for 3 nights roughly, and we got back 250. So at that point, we just said forget it. And luckily, I called my sister, or I texted her late night, and I wasn't gonna bother her, but she's like, just, it was like almost close to 11 p.m. by then, and she has work the next day. And I said, you know what, we might just stay in a hotel, but can we at least maybe crash for one night? She offered, if you want to stay 2 nights, that's fine. And we were 15 minutes away, and I was able to stay and crash at my sister's for 2 nights for free. So the Airbnb, it's good, but this is the first time I've had a bad experience. And we do look at the reviews, and the reviews were good, but this lady was just irresponsible, and she tried to tell the Airbnb, she's like, oh, I don't have any control over someone parking there. It's like, no, you knew, because right when they parked there, she ironically texted my wife and asked, do you guys have a car? She immediately, and how would they even know to park in there, because you have to have a special code and a gate and to go in. But enough with the details. I know she was lying. She was trying to cover her butt. So it's like, I'm not gonna pay her the 600 for 3 nights. She doesn't deserve it. She's a terrible host. She gives up our parking spot. And the other thing is, you might be wondering, well, why don't you just find some street parking? Well, we did. This is Los Angeles you're talking about. You've been to LA, blocks on end, it's full everywhere. There is no parking, nothing. Trust me, I looped around like 4 times. So that was the ugly part of the trip. That and getting sick and some of the traffic. But overall, I'm back. I feel a little bit better. My equilibrium's a little bit off because just, I haven't been eating the greatest, but I am on vacation. But I just feel better after working out and getting back to normal and just getting my sleep. And that's it. So that's my recap of my mini vacation. Oh, I did go on a sriracha tour as well. If you follow me on Instagram at sanitary_103, you may have saw that picture. I'll try to post some if I can. That was pretty cool. I'm not the biggest sriracha fan per se, but the tour is free, and they give you like 2 free bottles, though they were more than 3 ounces, and I couldn't take it because we had to go by plane, so I gave it to my sister. Anyways, that is it. If you made it this far, more content coming, and it's good to be back. I will try to upload more footage. Bye.